Alright, I am praying that this audio is going to work so I can give y'all a sense of what it's like. So we hop aboard the dream machine. Ooh, listen to that puppy purr. My love. It is about 35 degrees. We are on board the KLX 300. So let's tell you a little bit about my origin story as a off-road rider. So I spent about 10 years riding purely on-road. I started with a Honda Rebel 250, that's what I learned on, and after a few months of that I was like, it is time to ascend, and I picked up a Yamaha V-Star 650. Learned a little bit more of cruising onto that, but ultimately I wanted something a little bit more exciting, a little less like a dad bike. I think I was 24 or 25 when I learned how to ride. So I was looking for like a standard street bike, something with a little bit more zip, and I picked up a 2000, it was either 99 or a 2000, I think it was a 2000 Suzuki Bandit 1250, and that bike screamed. 1250 cc's, pretty light, carbureted, only 5 gears, so it would rev super high. But that bike was fast, it was so fun. And I wanted something a little bit more modern after that, so a couple years later, 2 or 3 years later, I got a 2006 Yamaha FZ1, and that bike was awesome. I had it for 6 years, did fair weather riding for the first like 5 years I owned it, and then finally, basically my goal, I would tell Jenny every single year for Christmas that I would want something that would enhance or lengthen my motorcycle riding season, so she would get me, warmer coats and gauntlet gloves and neck warmers and stuff like that. And it was just a blast. I put some touring stuff on it, and then just on a whim I wanted to kind of get into like a new hobby. So in the summer of 2019 I tracked down and purchased a 2005 KLR 250 carbureted bike with a kickstart to start riding off-road a little bit, and that was completely life-changing. Took it up and did some single track and wiped out a few times, but just had an absolute blast, having it be so light. I think it was like a 255 pounds or 260 pounds or something like that. And within a couple of months I sold my FZ1 and picked up a Super Tenere adventure bike, and I have crushed some miles on that thing. I've been doing, usually I'll do like a 2,000 to 3,000 mile trip every year, sometimes solo, a lot of off-roading. Sold the KLR 250 right after the pandemic started because it just wasn't really getting as much use as I felt it should. And then I started looking for a lighter dual sport to do some more challenging stuff with and just overall get better and more confident riding in the dirt. So I looked around and was looking at the CRF 250L. The CRF 300L was impossible to find. The KLX 300 was impossible to find. But finally, I found one in Lake City, which is just a suburb of Seattle, and bought it. And that's what we are here. So I'm at 267 miles, and basically I've just been spending the last 2 months dunking it around town, trying to keep it around 4,000 RPM, or not exceed too crazily 4,000 RPM, so I can have it broken in, do the first oil change, and then I can start taking it off road. I was super gentle with it the first 150 miles or so, and then have opened it up a little bit. But this bike is a damn blast. It is so fun. Alright, let's go, baby! Let's go! Alright, you're gonna get to hear her on the freeway now. Yeah, and it doesn't do too bad. I don't feel like it does that bad. The mountains, I don't know how well you can see them, but they are beautiful out there. Woo, out of the way, out of the way. So this Prius, doing typical Prius stuff, going 45 to merge onto the freeway. Alright, let's go over here. Yeah, so I am at 6,000 RPM, 6,500 RPM. Yeah, this bike is plenty capable. Now, before I owned my truck and I had the KLR 250, I would like ride it 70 miles to get to off-road. No more of that. And you know, sometimes the best plan too, like I know this general area that I'm in right now, or I know this area really well where I'm in right now, but I might just, one thing that I've been doing is like kind of going to areas that I sort of know, and then taking roads that I've never taken before, and just let them, you know, let me in a roundabout way find new adventures. Because that's what this is all about, adventures. Around that car. One kind of annoying thing about this bike though is the fuel range, and that there's no gauge. So basically I just every 100 miles it gets about 100 miles a tank. 100, 120 I could probably stretch it to if I was really feeling dangerous. But 100 miles, so I just keep my eye on the odometer until I hit about 100 miles. Maybe we'll turn up the heat controller. So that's one thing too. If you've got a motorcycle and you have built-in like stock heated grips, I would challenge those heated grips. Like I know like Triumph bikes, for instance, they've got the reputation of having really shitty heated grips and heated seat. Just either takes forever or it's not really that warm to begin with. And I've got them on my Super T as well. And it's like it's got 3 levels, and like 1 level you don't feel anything, 2 you barely feel something, and 3 your hands are gonna fucking fall off because it's so goddamn hot. These Oxford Adventure heated grips, which I had on my FZ1 and now I have them on this KLX, they're amazing. They auto shut off. They've got 5 different levels, and I'm at 80%, which I just switched over from 70%, and it's in the mid-30s, and it's perfect. They are so good, and the grips feel really nice too, nice and soft. Woo. You can lug this engine, man, I'm telling you. God, this bike is so fun. It's so much zippier than you would think a 3. I mean, it's got, so it's less than 1/5 of the horsepower of my Super T, and it is 1/4 of the CCs for the engine, and it's so fun. I'm like right on the cusp of saying it's the most fun bike I've ever owned. It's right there. Like when I see like curbs and shit and fields and little slugs of dirt, like all I want to do is go be a hoodlum in them. That's all I want to do. But there's so much that's built out here that there's not a lot of like hoodlum shit that you can do. There was 10 feet of gravel I could have went and rode. Yeah, so like the last time that I drove through here, none of these houses were here. It was all like forestry.